Hey,
Hello, how's it going?
yeah, going pretty good. I've been getting some interesting YouTube recommendations that are uh the algorithm really learns the current thing that I'm into and then feeds me a lot of that.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes I'll stumble across like a whole culture or like a certain like races like community of videos, and then I'll just get served like a bunch of different creators and reviewers like in that space, and then it greatly expands like my awareness of like a connected network of content.
Cool. Yeah, I saw you just bunch of like
Yeah.
hip hop and yeah, FD Signifier. I like FD Signifier.
Yeah,
like
I've
the
been
content.
yeah, he's like one of those creators where I came across I forget like what the first thing I saw from him was, but then just his style, and then I suddenly like in the side pane you'll get recommended like a bunch of his videos and they're all interesting, and so you watch more, and then I go back in his back catalog and he's touched on a lot of personalities that I was interested in. But yeah,
Yeah,
his
totally.
I like his take on certain things is interesting because I've always, for example, for like Obama, I've always been interested in that because like I just like passively I was like Obama seems like pretty put together and like a good example of just what a person should be. But it's interesting then like FD Signifier kind of having the take, which I think is pretty accurate, that it generates like this idea of what I don't know what like white America would expect from like a black person, and it's not exactly in line with what it should be. And also, he did a lot of like stuff that people maybe wouldn't approve of, but they didn't really see it because they everything else about him was like checked out. But it's just interesting seeing like the like a new like a pure nuance video where it's like here's this character that everyone kind of like smart people like, and then there's like here's all the nuance associated with it, and then it does a good job of like proving that there's no like person that does it all that doesn't have like a bunch of questionable stuff attached with it all.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's yeah, definitely like a nuanced subject,
Yeah.
and one that I think a black person is in particular is well equipped to take on. And yeah, there was a book that I thought was, I don't know. I had some mixed feelings on, but I generally liked it. Called like How to Be Less Stupid About Race by
Oh yeah.
man, I forget her name. Crystal. Yeah, I don't know. But I'm pretty sure that was the title. But yeah, yeah, I thought she had some interesting thoughts about
Yeah.
like Obama in particular. Um, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that book. I don't know when it came out, but I feel like there was like a wave of stuff like just kind of during or after the pandemic, like a bunch of like I remember one was called like anti-racism or something.
Yeah, Ibram
And but
Kendi.
it yeah,
Yeah.
there was such an interesting, yeah, that was the one. I think that one was like really thick, so I bought it, but then I don't think I ever got around to it. And there was another one like white called like White Fragility, and it was about
Yeah,
like
yeah.
our like we people get like they feel personally attacked when pointed out that they're not really doing anything to like revert the status quo, but they are benefiting from it, and people feel like it's not their fault or something. But then I read someone had written like a an article about how that I think it was white fragility is like not helpful for the movement, and but that article was like paywalled. So that was like a funny story to me where it's like, okay, I read the book that I think I'm supposed to read, and now I'm like read into the situation, and then someone from like the side that I'm trying to help says this is not helpful, and then I can't read their article because it's paywalled. And
Yeah, yeah.
it's like, well, I'm not really getting the full story here.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I had a similar arc where yeah, because I became sort of like politically radicalized in like 2020, 2021. And
Mm.
like yeah, just trying to like read everything, and like there's conflicting stuff. And but yeah, I thought there was a really interesting there's There's a magazine that I like really like called Hammer and Hope, which is just like has articles by like a lot of people that I like really respect, like Kanga Yamada Taylor and Olufemi Taiwo, and yeah, I don't know, but yeah, a bunch of other people that I don't know, probably.
What do they do? What do those people do?
They different things. They write books and just about like politics and race and class.
And the
And
like,
I
what is
think
the
most of them
theme
are
of the
professors.
magazine?
What's that?
It's like, is it like just informational magazine?
Yeah, it's like I guess like well, just like essays,
Yeah.
I would say. But they also did like a little podcast episode with a couple other people that and there's like a bunch of other contributors to the magazine, but those two and some other people I hadn't heard of before did a podcast episode sort of talking about like yeah, basically like it was this really like nuanced conversation about like is the sort of like I don't know the Robin whoever the author of White Fragility and like this type of idea like is it helpful to the movement and stuff like that and from their opinion they're like yeah like it's just an interesting thing because there's it's like being attacked so hard by like the current government and the right and everything.
Right.
And it's like there's almost like a temptation like if you don't think that stuff is helpful, there's a temptation to be like, oh, I agree with, like all this quote unquote anti woke stuff or whatever. But they're like, no, like you can you shouldn't do that basically and like yes like this stuff isn't how what they agree with or think is like constructive and like there's no need to like I don't know give an inch on what is now effectively like just like openly white supremacist government policy in terms of like hiring just everything. Yeah, I don't know. I thought they're just like very like grounded thinkers that aren't very like I think they try and make information accessible and are like focused on like constructive politics and they're like super knowledgeable and like Black radical tradition and yeah they don't like compromise on anything but they're also like very much like realists. They're like yeah like people have like all sorts of points of view and it's yeah it's important to to just like
it's interesting when like when people get too smart like it exceeds like my reading comprehension ability like and I was like I feel like I did like an English literature degree in my first university and like so I've had like all the training in reading but I've never been like I feel like and I'm pretty aware of a lot of stuff but sometimes I'll read like an academic paper or certain like there's a magazine called The Baffler that for whatever reason I started subscribing to and like some Baffler articles because I don't have experience with it like I'll start reading them and it's just like a bunch of like words every like and then like every 12th word I don't recognize fully. I'm not even sure if it's a made up word or a real word. And like I don't have any sense of time or space or context or who the speaker is. And I'll get through like a paragraph and I'll be like, I guess I'll keep going. And then I'll like get to the second paragraph and then the article starts to take shape. And then like maybe I can go back and kind of piece together like, okay, like, cause there's just no, like the way it starts is so like already in motion and woven and like making allusions to stuff. And there's like a density that it's sort of like I guess I like if anyone could, I can like parse it apart and look up like breakdowns of it or something. But then once I finish articles like that, I'll just be like, that was so much information and I don't know what to do with that. Like it's like someone hands you this really heavy, like powerful thing, and you're just
Yeah.
like, this is like too like I can't use this. Like this I acknowledge this is like what I need to do something very important, but I'm not gonna be able to figure that out or like haul this
Yeah.
thing where it needs to go. Uh,
Totally.
but it's interesting when like there's some group of people I always envision that are having a discourse and the level they're having it at is just them and they're too smart to like realize it almost, but they like what I feel is when there's a good track, like when I hear these good hip hop tracks, it's like, okay, message received. Like that sounded good. I'm gonna listen to it a bunch. I'm gonna watch a bunch of like reviews of it. I'm gonna get excited. Uh,
Mm.
and even I guess even then the problem is there's never like a point of action. That's an ongoing question. Is just like what is the actual behavior or action that will cause something to occur. It's always sort of just like appreciating music or having ideas, but uh, and like sharing ideas, getting everyone on the same page. But then it feels like something else is needed, but who? Uh, it's unclear like what that is or when it will happen or what the timeline or whether it starts to get very confusing after the point where you try to like put it into practice or something translate the theory into practice.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think yeah, it's the connection to from like um art, or at least like art that's like in popular in any sense, like towards like
Mm.
uh I don't know, movement work or like organizing to like affect real change is like, I don't know. Like, I think currently like very sort of tenuous. Like it's like, yeah, I don't know. It's like I think there is like a lot of like really
Mhm.
kind of rad art that can be like very direct. Like there's like a zine fair in San Francisco recently, where
Yeah,
it's just
I
like
saw that.
people.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I
But it was it's masks required, which like scared me
okay.
actually. I was like
Uh, yeah, yeah, probably just I don't know.
the only thing for me is the if I wear a mask, my glasses fog and like I remember trying to go to the art gallery wearing a mask and it was just like my eyes are so dry and this is really uncomfortable and so then it's
Uh-huh.
sort of like it just feels like it feels weird because it's sort of like I support the idea of like obviously wearing a mask and when it was the time to wear a mask and but it was a weird moment where I went and got my vaccines for the flu and I'm like not allowed to get a COVID vaccine. So at the same time that like I'm being told like I'm not allowed to get a COVID vaccine, which I guess is obviously tied to the government, it's sort of like but wear a mask like required at this thing. And I guess all of that like makes sense because it's sort of like protect, the vulnerable people that may be the creators of these magazines or be there. Uh, but it feels a little it's like I'd rather just like self-select out of the space, which is also fine. But it starts to
Sure.
feel a
Yeah.
little bit like it's sort of like, it's sort of like I think I'm like a responsible member of society. But then if I don't like do these things that are kind of uncomfortable, that are not like made for me, like I wear glasses and so therefore like wear them and masks, I haven't been sold a mask yet that's like takes that into account. So it's sort of just like do an uncomfortable thing when you want to show up for people. And there's
Right.
like no exception. There's not even like a star that says like there's a way around it or we're gonna even if they said sort of like there will be masks provided would make more sense because that's the other thing is like so do I go to the store and see if they still sell masks or try to find my
Uh,
mask? It was sort of like a weird. It was like yeah, I'm like not being provided the tools I need to do the thing that they really seem to think is mandatory required.
yeah.
And so that was
Yeah.
a weird. It's one of those strange moments, and I know I don't even know like how to feel anymore like about stuff like that. It's just like it's like directly confusing in a way that's like it's like yeah, it's sort of like I know the mask became like a signal of the values which I support, so then it's like that's good that like that's the way I would want it to be, but also it's too much friction, I won't attend. So it's a weird thing where it's like they couldn't do a thing that shows me this is an event that cares more, but also that particular thing like makes it a little bit too hard to attend.
Uh,
Yeah,
yeah,
and it
that
was
is
just like
tough.
that's
I
very
wonder.
strange. Yeah, it's hard to do anything, I guess sometimes.
Yeah, yeah. I know, like particular. Yeah, I wonder how in the world there hasn't been like an anti fogged up glasses mask. Like, because I agree, it's like it is kind of
Yeah.
annoying. Like I haven't found a mask that actually works, but yeah. But I guess I'm more okay wearing contacts if I have to wear a mask. But yeah, yeah, that's a fair.
Yeah, so sorry,
Fair
what were you
reply.
saying? Something about the zine fair?
Uh, what was I saying? Um,
I,
oh,
not to
like art that's a little
yeah, go ahead.
more a little more like
Yeah.
pointed. That's like
Mm.
yeah, we'll be like here's what to do if ice shows up like 7 steps like
Oh yeah.
just like or just like has like information or whatever like I don't know like wait like there's one zine that like I used to like pass out with like stuff that was like basically just like going through the San Francisco budget and just being like, yeah, we've been like, I don't remember the numbers at all, but it's like, you know, yeah, like how much do you think, like percentage wise, we should spend on like policing people and like, 10%, like 20% of the budget? It's like, no, it's actually like 50% or more and growing every year. And
Huh.
yeah, and it's like, what could that money be used for? Like, just like very like, and then like, here's how you can like, contact your reps or like try and like pressure them on budget stuff or whatever. And it's like, okay, like, and then like, some very like artistic people like just like made little art on it and stuff. It's like, okay, like this feels like, I mean, it's basically just like a pamphlet, but there's some like artistic um vision here too that I don't know. I'm a big fan of zines. I think they are like kind of underrated.
Yeah, whenever I happen to see one, they're so like well put together. They seem like the perfect thing, but then I just never I've seen like one or two probably in my entire like I've never searched them out, but
Yeah,
sometimes
yeah,
I'll see one without realizing that's what it is. And yeah, it's one of those things where it's like that's cool. I wonder where more of these are, and then I just I never encounter them or get like sort of stumble across it.
right. Yeah,
Yeah, it's funny when like a thing has a specific name like a zine, but it's just like oh you mean it's like oh you mean like uh a piece of paper with information on it presented in a really compelling way and
yeah,
thoughtful like thoughtfully, it's sort of like it's funny how that kind of is because like I was thinking how like you take like an academic paper with information in it and then you make that into like a speech and you make it into like a charismatic speech and like a charismatic speech that has a flow to it and then you put some music behind it and like suddenly you're doing essentially like hip hop and you're passing the information in this form that's like very compelling and rhythmic and catchy and
hmm
it sort of just it feels like some things are it's not like different forms, it's like a spectrum of like how much work and craft has like gone into the message in some way uh and I almost see it as like a pipeline or something and like zines are kind of it's like you have an essay or like a some kind of graphic novel or like a single message that's important that gets like whittled down to just like a visual story with words in there as well, and sometimes charts and data, but like all in a way that's like visually balanced.
Yeah.
It's interesting when, yeah, it's sort of like, it's like, what are we doing if not moving everything in that, show people the pipeline and just point like whatever piece of writing you make is on that spectrum, and you can move closer to the like illustrate with pictures and workshop the language and make little themed like drawings.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Yeah, I think like it's like there's like the quote around like the role of the artist is to make the revolution irresistible, from I don't know, probably like forever ago. And it's like I feel like that's, even if like for people that aren't like revolutionary or would describe themselves as revolutionary, like I think yeah, you could substitute like, to make movement work irresistible or whatever, but it still like works, and I think is very real. um yeah, I don't know. I guess, yeah, I think there's a like other uh other things that make art worthwhile too, but I guess, yeah, I do think about that a lot,
Yeah.
where I'm like, I don't know, like, is this like game I'm making like actually like affecting change like in any meaningful way, or like,
Yeah, that's a neat question.
yeah.
Yeah, in my head, when you were saying that, the example that I was thinking of is like that guy Harry Mack, that he can freestyle like really effectively, and his thing is like people. Yeah, I don't know if you've seen him or not before, but he's like a white guy, I guess, and people like his party trick is kind of like you give him like words, you can say whatever word, and then he just like freestyles to a beat and will work that word into the freestyle.
Yeah.
But then whenever it's like the only thing, like if he's not, freestyling towards like an audience suggested word, then he's mostly just rapping about how like his flow is amazing and he's the best rapper. And then that's what I sort of thought for a time, like every white rapper I came across was just the content of their message was just how good of a rapper they are. And that was not like, I almost felt like it's clearly art, like they have some kind of skill, but whenever it's like, but it's very tiring when the message is just like, yeah, the thing they're doing that's interesting, they know it's interesting and they're going to tell you that. That's like, that's all there is. It just feels like there's got to be like as I appreciate it more and go deeper, there has to be like some depth. And then I stumbled across like Marlon Craft is now the white rapper that I know of who has like an impressive like depth to his message and like a self-awareness that's pretty cool too. So I feel like I just watched a couple like review videos of his tracks, and it seems like he was pretty good on point about like like in like performing hip hop as a white person, like respecting I guess the craft and the culture and the history, and then acknowledging like they're coming into the space and touching on like, how they feel about being there and not wanting to like take over, but wanting to be good at it. And even like verses of like Marlon Craft even had a verse that was like other kids like him, they'll like parrot him. So he makes sure to like put the like good, meaningful stuff that kids should know into his verses so that they'll like pick up on that.
That's cool.
And that's like, yeah, that seems to be like, that's such a clear like understanding of how it's like, people are going to impersonate you and they're going to come to hip hop, but they're not going to know the other artists. They're just going to know this one person that's the same skin color. But then if, it's like, so you toss in like the real message and the connections back to the other stuff. And I feel like that awareness that's nice. Like, I just love when a song and a track and a verse or whatever, like does its job, and even the ground that it like stands on is acknowledged, in a way where you just, as a listener, you feel like, okay, I understand like more about the space, and I'm not being like shown one thing, or other things are not being hidden or something.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. I haven't heard of this person. To check them
But
out.
that's what it made me think of when I was thinking of like some, yeah, there's like art that looks good and stuff. Like corporate art is just like clean and polished, but it's nothing. And when you're like, whenever there's like corporate music, it's just like building endlessly. There's no like
Uh-huh.
personality to the tune or whatever. Yeah,
Yeah.
stuff like that is just like, or I suppose kind of like it's unknown what AI will come up with. Like AI is obviously not a person making it, so almost by definition, like all it can do is sound like it has some kind of meaning, but it doesn't, because there's no intention. And that's actually, I think, that's a very fascinating like test for everyone at the moment. Is we're being bombarded by a lot of different like things of every medium, but some are made by people that have a message, and some are identical, maybe on a good day, but don't have any message that they're
Uh,
typically saying. And so I feel like that may sort of zero in on like a very important, like a very subtle but important thing about art, is that like it's connected back to humanity. Or maybe
yeah.
we need like sort of a human art category that, yeah, like human art, the whole purpose is to reveal the humanality, and not just look like it does or something.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I think uh, yeah. Yeah, I think about stuff a lot. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, my partner like does a lot of work like critiquing AI in a
Mm-hmm.
both like in an academic and like activist spaces, and like yeah, like she doesn't like go too big into like uh, like the art, like whether it uh, can produce art or not. Though I think she would say no, um, but I there's like there's one article by Ted Chiang, who I just think is an excellent writer.
Yeah.
um, but yeah, that I always think about, where he just like in you know in clear prose kind of made the case for why uh, this is just not art in the way that we understand it, or um, art in the way that's like meaningful to
Yeah.
humans. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
cool when it is neat when, yeah, actually, I think this whole like the whole beef between Kendrick and Drake ended up like resonating for me, because at first glance it was like two people that make music, and they both have tracks that, like, as a person who doesn't listen to a lot of music or whatever, at first it was like I don't know anything about it. It just looks like two people that are making music that have some tracks that you can like bob your head to or like dance to. And then the more the beef went on, the more information I got. It was nice that it seems like the person that's more authentic and uh, has
Yeah.
like something to say and stuff, yeah, like came out the victor, and more people started realizing, yeah, but that sort of feels like that is the way you'd hope that every thing would go. Like both sides are tested for authenticity and tested for like the quality of their message and how much they're really authentic, and you'd hope that like the true authenticity comes out or something. But
Yeah.
that doesn't happen in so many cases. Like it's always like the person with the money just like wins or something in the long run. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. There's some some I don't know. I couldn't tell you where I heard this, but it was like uh it, like in the late 80s or something. There was I feel like an author that made the note that it's like, yeah, the way things are tending in the US in particular, it's just like the whoever, like, what will win elections is being like good at being on TV, and like having the most money. And it's like, dang, they were right. Like that became like quite the predictor of yeah. It's like less about anything else or like ideas or anything. Because
Yeah, I think I remember that being around like the first like presidential debate that was televised. They broke it down as like one of them was charismatic on TV and like had media training, and the other one had like a suit that didn't fit and had the flu recently and didn't like look kind of like sweaty on TV. And
that's
it
enough.
just and then that was a moment I think where there was like the first time they're like, oh, this new medium TV, you can fake like charisma, and you have to because people can visually see, and if you do, then that's a powerful enough like signal where it overrides whatever the message, like whatever the spoken message is or something.
Yeah. It like literally does not matter what you're saying. Like, it's tough stuff. Yeah. One rapper I wanted to shout out that I like a lot called No Name. It's like maybe the one example of like a rapper I think has like extremely like directed pointed messages and is also quite popular. Though maybe her popularity has gone down, but I like her a lot. Cool.
Yeah, it's interesting that stuff is always like evolving. Like now, once I started listening to a lot of rap, I sort of came across like the drop of this new like Clips album that came out a while ago, and that was interesting because that was one of the first times where I was just like hanging around on YouTube and then came across like this new album that then I was then getting hit with like all these reviews and everything about it and information, and it felt like it was sort of the thing that was popular at the time when I was looking at it. Like a lot of stuff I'm always like going back and looking at something that was popular that I like missed by a decade or something.
Yeah, I feel like I wish I knew a lot more about hip hop than I do. There was like, maybe I mentioned this to you. There was a Netflix show I think called like Hip Hop Evolution that just like I only watched like the first 2 episodes. I should get back to it. But it like is this guy who it's just like a documentary about the like origins of hip hop. And yeah, it's just like really cool. Like this guy like goes and does interviews of people that were like there from the origins and how it evolved, and like has like like some archival footage, and yeah, I was like, yeah, it's just like so many things I don't know about this like genre that kind of is like, I don't know, a huge cultural force in in the US at least.
Yeah, it's so interesting to think of stuff having like an origin and people being around for the origin, and those people like they see it today. And like actually I was just at a bouldering event over the weekend, and the guy from Free Solo was the host of this little festival, like Alex Honnold, the guy that climbed. Yeah, so he was there as like the host. He was kind of partially being interviewed and partially commenting on the competition. It was a competition where they had like a rock tower in the water, like outside Oracle Park in that little bay area there. They had like a tall rock tower with 2 routes. I think it was sort of like a speed climbing route. I don't know if it was like the official speed climbing route, but it was a festival from North Face, and they like climbers would climb and race to the top. But the Alex Honnold guy, he said, what did he say? I think I lost it maybe, but he said something that like related to whatever you just said, which I also
like the origins of the bouldering.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
basically the origins. Yeah, he commented on like bouldering starting inside warehouses where no one could see, and now it's like
Mm.
on this tower on the water in front of like a giant baseball stadium.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool stuff. Yeah.
But it's interesting,
Yeah.
like the same people are around still. Like they're still
Right.
climbing age and or whatever other discipline. But they like, yeah, they saw a world that didn't have this thing and they liked it, and then it became like everyone aware of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it's like this time scale of that is like within a quarter of someone's lifetime that occurs is kind of interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought it was I thought it was so cool. Like in the Hip Hop Evolution shows, like they interviewed different people, including like they had like footage of like this guy, Grandmaster Flash, who did had like this innovation where he was the I think the first person to like put his finger on the
Oh.
record player and like to go back and like keep replaying the breaks or whatever, and and it's like he's not like that old, like he's still kind of making music, like he's like in his 60s, you know. But it's like he was like this like original pioneer. Yeah. But did you uh get a chance to climb the climbing thing, or was it like a more exclusive?
Yeah, that one seemed pretty exclusive. You definitely had to like register as a competitor, and it said
Uh,
that the difficulty of it was V8.
oh shit.
And yeah, when I can't even really do like V2s at the moment. The best I've
Yeah.
ever done when I was into it was like V4. But I would be interested in just, I guess I can go to the gym and see probably like even a single handhold for a V8. I wouldn't be able to do so. I wouldn't really be able to even inspect it that much. I would like to jump off the top of it though.
Uh-huh.
That's what everyone was doing.
Just
But
like
then they
all the
did
way
have,
down.
I think they had a, like in a conventional bouldering competition, they have like the competition wall that's more like wide, and competitors like walk out and inspect it, and then they try to climb it. They had like a wall that was pretty much like that for the public. It looked like. So I
Cool.
guess that was smart of them. I think that's what it was. Like there was kids and like teenagers on it and stuff, and it looked like just open to the public, so the public could do some bouldering, like right, beside the competition, which was kind of cool.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a fun way to try and popularize it. Yeah, I feel like bouldering had like this big boom like 5 years ago or something, or maybe I don't know, maybe just pre-COVID or
Yeah.
and like yeah, I don't know, maybe do you think it's like died down, or is it still going strong?
I feel like it died like same for like chess and bouldering where these
Uh
had huge booms, yeah. Just activities. Yeah, bouldering is kind of I guess bouldering was more related to like people not being able to do something at the moment, and or like I remember watching like Magnus Mibido, and I don't know if it was
yeah.
because of COVID, but like he'd be like the only one in this bouldering gym and just like doing problems, and it was interesting for some reason seeing him alone in a large gym just doing problems. I guess because it's sort of like you could relate to it in that I was also like in a room alone, not
Uh-huh.
doing bouldering problems. But yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. Whew. Yeah, I've been uh, trying to do more. I've had like a bit of a wild week. I was like in Rhode Island. You ever been to Rhode Island?
no, I don't think so.
Um, yeah, I was like there for a bunch of days this week for like a family health thing, and like yeah, it was like surprisingly far. Like I flew back uh, uh, Sunday, and I was like, geez, like I had to take like 3 flights. It was like crazy. Um, but Yeah, but I've been trying to heed your advice from a couple of weeks ago and like focus on like getting out one chapter at a time of this game so I can hit a finish line with it. So that's been like a fun sort of motivating factor for on the game development side of things. And yeah, I'm still trying to get like for one of the levels I want to have like a height map of San Francisco, or like parts of it, and just like do fun things and make it sort of like mythical. But yeah, that's the level I'm working on now, and probably will be the first one that I publish to, I guess, just to itch.
Yeah, I'll be interested to know if that works out. I feel like that's the advice that I should follow too, but I feel like it doesn't. I still can't follow the even chapters thing or breaking down projects some way.
Yeah.
But for the height map, what's like your data source, and is it gonna like how are you gonna communicate that it's not just arbitrary height? How do people know it's the height of San Francisco?
Yeah, the data source is this. If it's looking a little too, currently it's looking a little too like rough. It's not like quite how I want it, but I'm just sort of calibrating the resolution of the height map data to see if it'll work. But there's a website called like tangrams.github.io, and yeah, you can just like zoom in on an area and download the elevation. But yeah, I'm hoping to communicate it via like you sort of when you start, you're like looking out over the water and like the bay, and you can see the bridge. And I guess I'll have to make. I haven't made the bridge yet, but I'll have to make it iconic enough that it's like understood where you are, or I'll just tell the player, I guess, if it's unclear still. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. Like a lot of, I guess, like there's games can be anything, I guess, and one type of game is just like a personal statement, and it doesn't have to, like the maker doesn't even have to necessarily understand what the message is. It's just like a game. If the game has things in it, then those things are chosen by like the person that made them, and so then it's some kind of journey that relates to the mind that made it or something, which I guess
that's kind of what what this is shaking out to be so far. Maybe I'll like get to the end and be like, oh, there is a grand narrative here, but yeah, currently it's sort of just like drawing things from my subconscious and like recent life, and just rendering it in a like sort of fantastical fashion, and like hopefully there's something there for for people to connect with. But yeah, if not, then that's okay. And I guess my next thing that I work on, I'll try to make something, I don't know, like a roguelike deck builder or something, like something that like I am like trying to maximize for other people.
Is that part of the I feel these days like if I make something that I can consume like right afterwards and sort of see another myself from another angle, like almost like looking in the mirror in some way, like looking in the mirror is valuable to us, like we see ourselves or whatever, and then this is like a different kind of mirror, like a game, and by making it and then playing it ourselves, we then are able to make something else that goes deeper or something, or just different, or builds on it. And like, I guess I still feel like it's like a personal growth like journey and the danger is trying to optimize for like the other, like if there's some kind of audience there that shows up that wants things, and then you just end up like making it for them, and that's almost like not like then you get money or something, but then the thing you're still needing is the personal like journey.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that perspective, and yeah, it's like, yeah, money's a real concern for everybody. But yeah, it's like, yeah, I don't know. Like there's this channel that got recommended to me, and I watched a couple of videos. I wouldn't like recommend this channel. I just like don't think it's like very good, but it's called Bite Me Games. And it's like, yeah, I don't know, kind of these like younger people. I think they're all guys. I don't know. Maybe they've, yeah, hired people at this point. But and they, it's like this guy, the one guy kind of makes all the YouTube videos, and yeah, I don't know. He makes like a bunch of videos a week, and it's like they're like somewhat honest about the fact that it's like the money comes from YouTube and Patreon and stuff, and like they haven't made like a successful game or anything. But I'm just kind of like, why are you doing this? Like the like the games they're making like are like, I don't think they like think they're good, or like in any sense, you know, like they're just like, oh, we have to make a game that like is popular. So they're like, I don't know. It seems like trying to like maximize for that.
It
And
could
and
be
so
that. That's very interesting actually to hear that. Yeah. Yeah,
I
continue.
don't know. I'm just like, what's the point of it? Like, one, like, yeah, I don't know. Like there's like other ways to make money that are probably easier if that's your goal. Like,
Yeah, it reminds me of like the like being a YouTube creator became a thing at some point. Like a bunch of kids were making the YouTube videos,
mhm.
and like the deal was like okay at the beginning, and then it got worse. And then all the kids these days are making like Roblox games, and the deal is quite bad,
Yeah.
and kids don't realize that. And so then I guess uh like kids don't have to make a whole lot of money. Uh so but they like if they grew up making Roblox games and then they just want to make uh like they just want to make Roblox-esque games like outside of Roblox. Uh
Yeah.
and yeah, I wonder if there's I don't know how much the bad monetary deal or the overwork of Roblox like continues into their lives where like their style of working is like they're not expecting a huge payout and they're working all the time for the sake of it, and they're sort of looking to just have a social experience. uh and I guess Patreon's, at least if that's where they are, that's like a little bit better. Like there's more of a connection between they're making money for the games. I wonder if that's going to kind of explode though. Like if Roblox kind of like shuts down or becomes more of a standard or something, then you could have like a lot of people making simple parody games, and that could be. I feel like that could be the way that people start to communicate more. Like games become memes, and games become the new short form video, and or like games become like music and stuff, or like games become TikTok trends. Like you could fork a game and put a twist on it and send it around.
Yeah, that's such an interesting idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe with this next generation, if they're all making Roblox games, and yeah, I know like my nieces and nephews, like
Mm.
they're, have all played Roblox, and at least two of them have made stuff in it, and you know, I think there is like a baseline familiarity, but yeah, I think it's like
Mhm.
for kids, I don't know. Yeah, it seems like Roblox is like kind of evil, but like I don't know, like, but the like for personal development for kids and stuff, it's like, if it's not like out of hand, like seems like a fun learning activity. But I don't know, like this guy, it just like
Hmm.
it blows my mind because like on the YouTube videos, like he looks so miserable. Like he has like these huge bags under his eyes. And he's like like just like destroying himself and like depressed. And he's like, and it's just like they are kind of honest about that and they know that, but they're like, oh, this is the sacrifice to make games, I guess. But like it's like the games they're making are like they're like not trying like I think they're clearly not trying to like make something meaningful. So I'm like just
Something
like what's
doesn't add up.
yeah, like why? Why do this? I don't know.
Yeah, that's knowing nothing about the situation, it's like they've internalized the values of like raw capitalism into their being, and they're driven by like the undying passion of what used to be like self, like visualizing their internal vision, but their internal vision is just like make a small amount of money and get your like it's like the values of capitalism, but they're like it's like the passion of individual passion, but the values of capitalism are mixed together in a way that for the first time ever, and it looks as weird as you'd expect.
Yeah, it's just a strange. Yeah, I feel like I think about them a lot. Like it's like a cautionary tale of like, well, like I don't want to end up like that, you know.
I saw that though in like the first wave of YouTubers, like just like a video a day, and they'd be like collabing and at each other's houses and stuff, and like just like they'd be like the daily vlog, and you can see like they just don't go to sleep until they've got like a vlog's worth of content or something.
Right. Yeah, it's like, man, that's gotta be such a grind. Like, yeah.
And then,
tough.
but at least like video, you sort of just turn on the camera and you're making a video by just living. But a game is like a game, you're making a video and a game. Like, yeah, like it's not just like turn on the it's like turn on the camera and make sure that the video is entertaining as you do this other thing that consumes like all of your energy that is not producing the video. Yeah, that's an interesting way to like rev up the energy level that's required.
You require the energy.
Just that it like, yeah, it's like people were already making like a video a day, and now it's like make a video a day about making a game a week or something like that. You know?
Right. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I'm just like with the YouTubers and stuff. It's like you can kind of like understand the motivations, where it's like you can get famous from this, and and then that's some people's like motivation, which is like understandable and like art culture and everything. But I'm just like, yeah, like I don't think like I don't know. It's like indie game development, like it's like I don't think you can really expect to like.
It would be neat though.
Famous, but
like the first person that becomes like an indie game, like maybe it'll just end up being a different thing, like a game every few years, like maybe there'll be a lot of like Stardew Valley-esque people where they make one good game and then they make a game every so often. But it would be cool to see someone that does it at like a game a day. Would be like if you could follow a creator and they're making a game a day, and some of them like trend or become known, and maybe sometimes they produce like an album of games, like thinking in terms of the way music is done. And then you could like buy you like play their single, you buy their album, they release like samples, like short demos of concepts. And then if that like right now that doesn't make any sense unless you're sort of like just doing Patreon in general. It's like could that be a career? But that does feel promising, as like if that grows to where any kid could just become like an independent game developer and start putting their stuff out there. And but then I guess we'll have to watch the whole like capital pipelines like take shape to co-opt just like Yeah, take the artist and just suck the value out of them and then get rid of them or something.
Already anticipating
And
that.
then what'll be funny too is if suddenly like every indie game developer is also like physically attractive, like, and then becomes marketed as like a brand. That'll be interesting. Like, or can we finally get beyond where like, people just have some kind of persona or avatar or like Discord name, Discord image, and they just publish the games, and it's more about like the games, and the name is just to tie the games thematically like together or something.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. I feel like there's like some indie developers that are like a little bit YouTube famous, but it's like, yeah, I don't know. Like, I feel like the one that comes to mind is like Jonas Tie Roller. Do you know this person?
No, they're as a game developer.
Yeah. He made I think like in a like two-person team, like a couple games that I don't remember the name of, but then most recently, Thronefall, which was
I
like
played
pretty
that.
popular.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he like makes YouTube videos about game development. But I don't know. He's an example of like someone like I think he's like doing it pretty well, where like it's like I think the YouTube like helps him like market his games for sure, but I think he's also just like interested in like creating historic artifacts like of game development and like actually giving advice. And it seems like the game development comes first and like the YouTube second. So yeah, I don't know. I think that's probably a good model. Like if you're gonna go that route, but I don't know. I'm just conjecturing. I haven't done any of that.
Yeah.
Yes, some videos.
And then the other I guess, sometimes they form teams where like someone else does the music. I would imagine. Do you know if that Thronefall people have like a small studio? I'd imagine.
I don't know. Yeah. No, not sure. Yeah, I think it's the two of them. Yeah, I'm just looking at his YouTube channel now, and
because it is kind of cool. Like, I feel almost that you could almost measure like how good school is by, are they churning out people that can make a game on their own, and that means like they're good enough at like writing a story, planning, organizing, coding, doing math, doing art, and then doing music, and like cutting together videos to tell that story. That like touches on so much of like every skill, that if you could go through school and come out with like a musical ability and a story writing ability and like a way to put that into a narrative and enough like technical skill to make it happen, I feel like that's a pretty well-rounded like. But of course, like, school's not like, people have to like large parts of it, like people like even just any familiarity with music, people have to like pick up on their own kind of. It's like a huge missing piece.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I do think about like, I think for the current game I'm making, like it's been fun to just be like I do everything, and it's like a learning experiment. But for like a future thing, like I think I would want to work with an artist and a musician, because I feel like I would just get more out of it. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like fun to do that, but I'm just like slow and not as proficient. So I don't know.
Yeah, we certainly don't have like many, there historically, like there's not many examples. Like, it's definitely not the norm for someone to be good at those range of activities. Because I guess the content that, like, people choose careers and they choose like the content they want to make, and it's always been like one, but I was sort of thinking that now that video games are kind of still young, like in the 90s they became a thing. So like we're like the generation that grew up with video games, and who knows how they're made kind of thing. Like they're made by big studios and now smaller teams. But I feel like the next thing will be like kids growing up and just wanting to make video games and just like doing it in their basement with like two friends or just themselves. And suddenly like in order to make a video game, you have to do like all three disciplines, like music and coding and story writing. And so then they'll just like, by not knowing that those are traditionally like three different people, they'll just do it all themselves. And then like they'll grow up doing it all themselves and get into adulthood where, and it feels like it could become the norm where it just becomes normal for like every person you meet in society to have depth in those skills to enough to make a game on their own. And it would make sense that like for us and around now, the roles are separated because there aren't like people hanging around that clearly prove it's just possible to do all of it.
Right. Yeah, I do. Yeah, thinking about that idea, it's like, yeah, if that were to become more common, then it's like, at least with the way things are going currently, like AI would be a huge part of all of that, like, because it's just like, it's like for all these younger people, it's just like such a shortcut for everything. Like, yeah, I don't know. I think it's kind of a nightmare, but yeah, I just couldn't imagine if game development like becomes more popular. Yeah. It's like I feel like it would.
Yeah, I feel like that's definitely it's definitely the case. So that like AI is capitalism's attempt to co-opt like an individual's artistry today, and it just so happens like it's the era where we have the tools where one person can do everything, and so the capitalist technology that needs to meet that is a tool that says it can do everything. And then there's this match of like, can we sell every kid AI and make them like depend on it to do their stuff? But then the battle will continue of like the best of the best won't, we'll be able to tell the difference between like a meaningful, authentic game that comes from a human and like a game that was made by capitalism or like a sponsor game, or like it'll come down to that kernel of a message. And then, it's like, if the whole thing's AI, the message can't be that humanity, like the artistic pursuits of humanity and the beauty of that can't be the message. If it's wrapped in AI, it doesn't make any sense. So it can't be. Yeah. And so then like the best, like truest stuff will just make like, sort of be hopefully what we see, like the good media that we see today is always not the best graphics or something like that. It's some story or something like that.
Yeah. Has like the most humanity. I sure hope so. I feel like it is really cool to me that like indie game development in particular like is, I think it's like both like in form and like from the community, it's like so the antithesis of like generative AI. Like it like I don't know. I feel like there's a huge like kind of like backlash within the community, but then also like the idea, I think, of like forking over parts of like your brain to this is frowned upon. But I feel like it like, I don't know. I worry that will change, like slowly but surely. But
like,
I don't
you mean
know.
people like will? Yeah, I mean, I feel like humanity's always lost battles. Like when if I just look at like cars, like they're like we were told everyone needs a car to live, and then largely that's been the story for the last like 30 to 40 years is
Yeah.
like every single kid bought a car and believes that they need that tool to like weave their whole life together without like fail pretty much. And those are like really expensive and not, you know, and so then like I feel like in that lens AI, it's like, oh, it's only like it's sort of like a monthly subscription to a car like vehicle that will do errands for you in a world that like increasingly is designed so that you can't do errands on your own or do anything on your own without like paying that monthly fee. And then of course then like you pay the monthly fee and some agency owns your stuff and they take down all the other people's stuff that like infringes the copyright. And it's like I feel like the pathway is like away from. It's interesting, like it's like games exist on the computer, on the internet, but maybe in the end of the day the escape from all this is to get away from like the digital world where everything can be like programmatically co-opted and just like go back to the era of like make a game on your laptop and physically bring the laptop to a space where you physically meet up with other people and then just like show them the game in person. And it's not really about the game, it's about like like having just a small party and then everyone kind of plays the game at some point during the night as like an extra thing. And then you have this like go back to the underground like underground game community where nothing is, to like go play the indie games of the day, you have to like know somebody or have a friend network that's not a friend network that isn't like owned by Facebook or something.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, interesting imagined futures for sure. Yeah, I do think like the car example is like so stark where it's like we're very much like in that that early car area where it's like the manufactured like, oh, this is something that everybody needs, where it's like people right now are kind of like, I don't know, but it's just like being shoved down everybody's throat. And I don't know, it feels like so one of the most important things of our time, weirdly, we're like, it's definitely a battle worth fighting, but it's a tough one.
There's one interesting thing that's sort of in my head is that, and I don't want to go too long, but it's that the original successful like unions in America were made with like the auto industry, and there was like, it sort of feels like the way it panned out was like there's a bunch of factory workers and they unionize and they get the benefits, and that was all tied up in there with like the boomers and the housing market being like affordable and stuff. But it resulted in like a class of like protected workers that were making good money and could have it all. And they were not only the ones building the cars, but also the consumers that were like buying the cars and adopting the lifestyle that the cars enabled. And like here we sort of like, if we're drawing a parallel between AI and cars, we're now in another era where like software engineers are like I don't want to say factory workers because we're like treated relatively better, but in terms of like the profits that our companies are making, we're not paid that. We're not really like given our fair share of the total value being generated. And so then there's all like these layoffs going on and stuff. So then there's like this movement to like unionize like the tech industry. And if that happened, you'd have like a very large, powerful union of tech workers getting paid a lot. And also the product they're building is AI. And so then you could see a world where like the consumers of the expensive AI models would be the software engineers that are building them. And that largely becomes like this band of like people that permeate like society in such a forceful way that society gets shaped into one that AI is best at, and sort of like a reinforcing thing where an entire generation is like, locked in tech with seniority, building this product that's like eating the world, but also they're the consumers and the users of the product. And much like that resulted in like cars shaping housing market and the country, and then it sort of left the next generation like out to dry. I feel like maybe, you know, our generation makes this union and does that same transformation that cars did but for AI, and then it's just another story of like then the generation after us is left with like even less, like maybe no water, no electricity, because it's all data centers everywhere, and it works great for us because we have locked in jobs, full careers, you know, and we use the AI like it's our way that we see the world, and then the next generation like doesn't get invited in the door and has to fight. Like it's sort of, you know, it's like this weird view of like even the good way, like even when the working class comes together in solidarity and gets what's theirs, there's no, it's just creates sort of like a big block that really does a good job of making things good for everyone inside that. And we still have this problem of like that doesn't translate to like prosperity for the people that come after. It creates like almost like a shockwave or a barrier where like some people do a little bit better, and then the fallout after is like the rich elite trying to make their money back on the next unsuspecting generation with some other scheme. And yeah, it's like there's no like conclusion. Yeah, it's sort of like that's what I feel today is like, how do we ever, you know, like it feels like, is it better to like fail today so that, but who I guess that would maybe even accelerate things further. Like it's like, do we build a dam that holds the water knowing that the dam will break and destroy everyone's houses long after we're gone? But if we don't build the dam, we'll have water in our basements right now. And it's like, do we want water in our basements right now? Because it's going to flood the house anyway by the time the next generation gets here. But I mean, we could build a dam, have a nice experience during our time, and then the next generation, without warning, just gets like blown away. But like they were gonna they either grow up underwater or get blown away like halfway through their lives, like with this explosion. And so our choice is like build a dam or not in some way. And it's like maybe we build the dam. Yeah, I guess if we build the dam and we invest our time in like what are we going to do to reinforce the dam or like come up with some new technology in the future. But as soon as the dam goes up, it's like everything's great, no need to worry, like no need to plan. And so you kind of know like maybe it's good if people have like a bit of water in their basements. They'll always be thinking about how to get rid of that in like more and more novel ways, rather than like build a structure that insulates them so well from that danger that they never think about it until it's twice as bad, and the next generation that never even heard about it like has to deal with it or something.
Yeah, I think it is like it's like we are at a sort of unique inflection point for the world is just like, you know, water, fresh water sources running out, and climate change, where it's like, you know, like things are more existential than ever. But I feel like the like democratization of control over technology is like, I think, a very like worthwhile and important thing. Like right now, it's like, you know, control over AI is unbelievably centralized in the hands of a few. But yeah, I think like if you could imagine like that democratization, like including like not just like those sort of like living within empire, like, but like like the miners in like Congo, or like, you know, people doing data label work in like other historically colonized places. It's like if the democratization like extended that far, where like control over this thing were like truly democratic, and then it would probably just be like put a stop to, you know. Like, I mean, it seems like a pipe dream at this moment, but it's like, I think it's like I do think I see the point around like if the democratization only extends so far, then it's like
Hmm.
then it doesn't necessarily prevent a lot of these like bad outcomes uh, that will happen to people with less resources like in the present, and then also future generations will get screwed over because we'll use up all the water or whatever. Um, yeah, but I don't know. I think it's worthwhile work.
Yeah, it's like interesting to think about, but it's also troubling that like the thinking about it doesn't do anything in practice. And it's yeah, it always feels like, I'm confused, but it's like I'm conveniently confused because that means I don't have to do anything, and that means I can just like continue to enjoy the privilege without like thinking about it or like having to do anything with the excuse of like being confused.
Yeah,
But yeah, at the same time it's like it I always feel like things that I can do seem so small, but then of course like everything, it's about the small things, but it's only if everyone does it. And I can, it's like, is it my job to convince other people to do it? And if I don't, then does that fall back on me or something? And what if, like the other people, like, it's like I have hobbies and opinions that I'm very like strong about, but then I acknowledge like other people have their interests and their opinions. But then there's this one thing where it's like, it kind of feels like it's my job to like get people on board with like helping those less fortunate. But it's there if they're just more interested in not doing that. Just like any other hobby, I can't like push my hobby on them. But this isn't like a hobby. This is just like a thing that is important for fellow humanity. So it kind of gets its own category, but we don't have like necessarily a name or like a label for that. Like a something that I've become passionate about that I should be allowed to like extend to other people. But I don't, it almost, or it's like, or not. Maybe there's some bias in the way that I'm thinking about it, that if everyone was on board with, we'd all have the same bias, and then that would be bad because then whatever the bias is for, the other thing would get like thrown out.
yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it is totally valid to feel confused. It's like a very confusing time, and uh, yeah, I think
Yeah.
like it's like the challenges we face are like we can like look to history and like it certainly helps a lot, but there's also like a lot of unique things, and
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I think like there's like advice from Miriam Kaba, who I is another like thinker I just like and think she's very wise. But one of her things is like nothing worth doing. I'm probably butchering this, but it's like nothing worth doing should be done alone or something. It's like
Hmm.
none of all this work like is sort of impossible to take on alone. Like it's
Oh
it's
yeah.
just too much, and you just gotta have like join a organization or just like a few other people doing to do things. And I feel like I don't know. That's like advice that I like used to keep to, and but yeah, now I do feel just kind of like isolated and less able to, I don't know,
Yeah.
feel uncomfortable, like because it's always like a little bit uncomfortable and you're just like talking to people that you don't know about things that matter a lot, and have different perspectives and different priors and points of view, but you're like trying to do something important together. And it's I feel like just like my current tolerance for that discomfort is kind of low, and it's
Hmm.
yeah. So I don't know. I feel like I'm like my current mode is like have to like feel a little bit better again, and then I can like
Right.
and figure my own shit out, and then I can join in again. But I don't know.
Yeah, that does. Yeah, that like it is such a paradox of like I feel like, like I'm an introvert, so I can easily start talking to too many people and then burn out and not be like useful at all. And then sort of feeling like the way that I re-energize is just by like being alone with myself, but that's not like furthering the cause at all. If like it's like, yeah, it's like by definition the only thing that matters is like these networks, but it's like, but I really don't want a world where I'm always part of networks. So then it's almost like I want someone to sort of invent like, how could you be with people while you're alone? And that, like, one idea is like videos. Like if I'm making videos that talk to an audience, it's like a one-way conversation. And I guess then the onus is only on like the videos. Like I got to do like my research and whatever. Like, so it's like a good enough video that the conversation happens like one way. Like this, like, I guess like, I don't know, like FD Signifier, like he's making videos and I feel like he's doing a lot for me by I'm just getting his content. And I don't feel like, I don't have to like talk with him and feel the energy loss of like talking with a person. I can just receive his info.
Right.
And that's kind of, and that's kind of what I wish there was more. I wish there was more just like, like I wish there was more game jams for charity and video contests for charity and like video, like make videos around a certain theme that's a like a socially progressive theme, make a video and submit it, and then people just more, because that's what I want to do is like make content, and I'll pay money to enter an event to like make content, and the money goes to charity or whatever, and I'll make games or videos that are themed after like progressive causes or something. Yeah, and I feel like that would be like, and I would also wouldn't mind going to an event and like meeting up with people and working on a team with them and thereby meeting them. And like instead of a social event or a cold call or something, it would be like we're going to go to an event and do an actual thing, like run a race or make a game or a video. Yeah. And then at least we walk away having done that. And that makes me feel energized. And then also I met people. But there's like a shortage of, I feel, that kind of stuff. It's like those third spaces that don't exist anymore.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's like having like some shared interest that everybody's like on board for is like so huge. It's just like, oh, we can like talk about games or like stuff around that, and that's like not maybe directly related to yeah, and I think that is kind of important too.
Yeah. Well, that was good conversation.
Yeah, thanks for talking. Yeah.
I have one friend that like listens to these, and
oh yeah,
so it's kind of funny. Then I just randomly, I don't record my conversations with him, but I talk to him maybe like once a month online, and it's funny to think that like he knows, like he'll be up to speed with whatever we talk about here, and it's kind of a funny, like, it's like I have like both a social relationship with him and a parasocial relationship.
That's funny. Yeah, I'm looking. Yeah, I haven't checked the YouTube channel, but like, it's weird. Like some of them have no views, but then like a couple, like one has like 13 views. Like I'm like kind of confused. That's funny.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'll see you next time, I guess.
Yeah. See you soon.
Bye.